They found the cabin just before nightfall, and by morning, none of the girls would be alive to explain what happened inside it. The road disappeared miles ago, swallowed by pine trees and fog so thick it felt alive. Elena Cross watched the headlights struggle against the mist, her stomach tightening with every turn. This mountain wasn't on any map she trusted. When the GPS went silent, it felt less like a technical failure and more like a warning. "This place is perfect," Iris Monroe said from the passenger seat, her voice bright, almost defiant. "No signal, no people, just us." Claire Whitman didn't answer. She was gripping the steering wheel too tightly, eyes fixed ahead. She'd been uneasy since they passed the rusted sign half buried in snow. Black Pine Ridge. No distance marker, no welcome. Naomi Calder sat in the back, staring out the window. She hadn't spoken for over an hour. Every now and then she flinched, as if she'd seen something move between the trees. When Elena asked her what was wrong, Naomi only whispered, "This mountain remembers." The cabin appeared suddenly, emerging from the fog like it had been waiting. Old timber, dark windows, a single porch light flickering weakly, even though no one should have been there to turn it on. Claire killed the engine. The silence was immediate and crushing. Before anyone could speak, the front door creaked open. A man stood there, late 50s, weathered face, eyes too sharp for someone living this far from civilization. "Daniel Frost," he said, as if they'd asked. "Caretaker." No one remembered knocking. He told them the storm would trap them by midnight. Snow was coming fast, roads would vanish. The cabin was the only shelter for miles. Iris smiled, pretending not to notice how Daniel never blinked. "Guess we're lucky then." Daniel's mouth twitched. "Luck doesn't come up here." Inside, the cabin smelled of damp wood and something older. Metallic, faint, wrong. Animal heads lined the walls. The fireplace was already stacked with logs. A guest book lay open on the table, its pages yellowed and warped. Elena flipped through it. Names, dates, then gaps, entire years missing. And every few pages, the same sentence written in different handwriting. "No girl leaves the mountain." Naomi grabbed Elena's wrist. "We shouldn't sleep here." Claire laughed nervously. "It's just a prank. Old cabins thrive on creepy stories." Thunder rolled outside, deep and close. Snow began tapping against the windows like fingernails. Daniel stepped toward the door. "I'll return at dawn." "What if the storm doesn't clear?" Iris asked. Daniel paused. His eyes lingered on each of them, one by one. "Then the mountain decides." The door shut behind him. The lock turned from the outside. And that was when the screaming began, somewhere above them, in a room they hadn't entered yet. The scream echoed again, longer this time, a ragged sound that didn't belong to any human throat. Elena froze, heart hammering against her ribs. That came from upstairs," she whispered. Iris smirked, though it didn't reach her eyes. "Probably an animal. Old cabins make noises. You'll see." But Naomi wasn't convinced. Her pale fingers clutched Elena's arm. "No, it's not an animal. It's calling us." Claire grabbed a flashlight from the kitchen counter, clicking it on with trembling hands. The beam swept across the room, illuminating the warped wooden floors, the shadows pooling in corners like liquid. "We need to check," she said, her voice steady, but her jaw tight. "We can't just ignore it." Slowly, the four of them climbed the narrow staircase. Each step groaned under their weight. At the top, the corridor stretched, dark and cold, smelling faintly of iron. Naomi paused at the first door. "This is it," she murmured. "The screaming came from here." The door was slightly ajar. Elena reached for it, but Iris stopped her. "Wait, let's look first." She pushed the door open a fraction. Inside, the room was empty, except for a single chair facing the wall and a small desk covered in notebooks. Every notebook had the same black symbol scrawled across its cover, a circle broken by a jagged line. Naomi stepped inside, drawn to the desk as if by a force she didn't understand. "Why is it empty?" she asked, voice trembling. "Who was screaming?" Elena's eyes darted to the corner, where a shadow seemed to bend unnaturally. I think it wasn't real," she said, though she didn't believe it herself. Suddenly the window slammed shut. A gust of icy wind blew through the corridor, carrying whispers that no one could understand. The flashlight flickered, then died, plunging them into darkness. Claire's voice cracked. "This isn't funny anymore!" A scraping sound came from the floor above, slow, measured, almost deliberate. They froze, listening as it circled the top of the stairs, then stopped. Naomi whispered, "It's like the mountain is alive, watching us." The door behind them creaked open. Daniel's shadow filled the frame, but his expression was unreadable. "You shouldn't have come here," he said softly. Yet every word felt like a hammer striking the floorboards. "Once the mountain chooses, it doesn't forget." Iris laughed, a high, brittle sound. "You mean the story in the book? That's just a myth, right?" Daniel didn't answer. Instead, he stepped back, disappearing into the shadows. The temperature in the corridor plummeted. Breath condensed in the air, curling like smoke. The whispers grew louder, circling them, filling every corner, every crack in the walls. Then the lights in the house flickered on, only to reveal the room as it had been decades ago. Dust vanished. The notebooks were new, chairs polished, a fireplace burned without firewood, and on the wall, etched as if by invisible hands, were names, hundreds of them, and at the bottom written in fresh, dark ink, "Tonight, another will join." Elena's stomach twisted. Naomi grabbed her hand, whispering, "We should leave. Now." But the staircase behind them had vanished. The only way forward was the darkness, and whatever waited deeper inside the mountain. The darkness swallowed them completely. Elena could barely see Naomi's outline in front of her, let alone Iris and Claire, who had vanished into the black corridor ahead. Every sound was magnified. The creak of the floorboards, the whispering wind, the low hum that seemed to come from the walls themselves. Then came the footsteps, slow, heavy, deliberate, circling. They weren't their own. Naomi squeezed Elena's hand until her fingers ached. "They're following us," she whispered. Her voice trembled, but there was a strange calm beneath it, a knowing. The mountain never lets them leave. Elena swallowed hard. She wanted to scream, but the sound caught in her throat. Somewhere ahead, Claire's voice called out, distant, then cut off mid-word. The corridor stretched impossibly, like it had grown longer while they weren't looking. The walls were no longer wooden. They were smooth, black, and cold to the touch. A smell of iron and decay filled the air. Iris's laughter rang out suddenly, shrill and panicked. Elena ran toward it, Naomi close behind, and found her standing in a circular room. Candles floated in midair, flickering with blue flames. Shadows danced on the walls, forming faces, twisted, screaming faces that weren't human. "Stop it!" Elena shouted, but Iris didn't hear her. Her eyes were wide, fixed on the shadows, as if they were speaking directly to her. "They know us," Iris said. "They know everything." Then the floor shifted. A hidden trap door yawned beneath Iris's feet, and she screamed as she fell into darkness. Elena lunged for her hand, but it was gone before she could grab it. The shadows closed in where Iris had been, whispering in voices that chilled Elena's soul. "No girl leaves." Claire appeared behind her suddenly, face pale, eyes wide. "We need to leave. Now." Naomi led them toward what she thought was the staircase. The whispers followed, growing louder, echoing inside their heads, filling them with dread and memories that weren't theirs. Elena saw her own fears reflected in the walls, her past, her regrets, the things she'd tried to forget. At the top of the stairs, the corridor ended in a mirror. Elena froze. Reflected back at them were 4 girls, but only 3 bodies were present. Iris's reflection smiled, staring directly at them with hollow eyes. Then she reached through the glass. Elena screamed, dragging Naomi backward. The mirror shattered, and the shards whispered their names as they fell. The candlelight flickered again, revealing Daniel standing in the shadows, silent, watching. "The mountain chooses," he said, his voice calm. "And tonight, it has chosen all of you." The walls began to pulse, as if breathing. The whispers became voices, chanting, calling, pulling. Claire screamed as a shadow lunged and swallowed her whole. Naomi tried to resist, but invisible hands gripped her, dragging her toward the darkness. Elena ran blindly, heart hammering, the cabin itself seeming to twist and stretch, doors appearing where none existed, hallways looping impossibly. Every escape route led her back to the circular room with the floating candles. And there, in the center, a single chair awaited. The mountain had decided. Elena stumbled into the circular room, chest heaving, snow and ice from outside now drifting through cracks in the walls. The floating candles flickered, casting long shadows that moved like living things. The chair in the center creaked, as if someone invisible had just sat down. Naomi's voice whispered from behind her, weak, trembling. "Elena, don't sit, don't." But it was too late. The floor beneath Elena's feet gave way, dropping her onto cold wooden boards. The chair was real now, solid, waiting. She fell into it, her body locked in place, paralyzed. The whispers rose, circling her head, echoing inside her skull. No girl leaves, no girl survives. Outside, the wind howled. The cabin groaned. The walls seemed to pulse, breathing. Elena's eyes adjusted, and she saw them, faces etched into the walls, screaming silently, pressed flat as if they had tried to escape, but failed. Claire, Iris, Naomi, and countless others from the guest book, some centuries old, all trapped in the mountain's grip. A shadow rose from the floorboards, twisting and stretching until it took the shape of a girl, tall, dark, hollow-eyed. "You were warned," it whispered, voiced like a dozen broken mirrors. "But you wanted to see. You wanted to stay." Elena's heart thumped painfully. She tried to cry out, but her voice was gone. Her hands thrashed, but invisible restraints held her fast. The shadow circled her slowly, and with each step, the room grew colder, darker, the whispers louder. Then a door slammed open. Daniel Frost appeared in the doorway, silent, calm. He didn't move toward her. He simply watched as the shadows pulled Elena's body upright, forcing her to stare into the floating candles. "The mountain does not forgive curiosity," he said. "It only claims. Every 100 years, or every unlucky traveler. It doesn't matter. Tonight, it has claimed you." The shadows closed in, merging with her body, searing into her mind. Elena's vision blurred, memories mixing with visions of every girl who had come before. The candle flames turned black. The walls closed, the air thickened, suffocating. And then silence fell, so deep it hurt. Morning came. Snow blanketed the mountain, soft, peaceful, deceptive. The cabin's light flickered and went out. No trace of the 4 girls remained. Only the guest book, open on the desk, waiting for the next travelers. A fresh page appeared, as if by invisible hand. Written in jagged black letters were 4 names: Elena Cross, Claire Whitman, Iris Monroe, Naomi Calder. Outside, the wind carried a single whisper through the trees. No girl survives the night. And then the mountain waited, patient, eternal, hungry for the next curious soul who would wander too far from the world below.